everyone. I am Sunniya Saleem, and I'm very excited to be here at the Chat Funnels Demand Generation Summit today. I head up demand generation, digital marketing, and field marketing at QuickBase, and I can't wait to share some of the things I've learned about how to accelerate mid-funnel demand with all of you. But before we get started, I have a little story to tell you, kind of my personal story of how I thought about that developing that sales and marketing relationship and why it became such a crucial part of what I do today. So years ago, I was a graphic design and branding major at a university in London and had just graduated, was looking for my first job, really wanted to land a job at one of the big design firms in London. So for those who are not aware, London is the capital of the design world. So getting a job at a digital agency as a designer is like the best thing that could happen to you in London, right? So I was actively applying for jobs, and I was also actively getting rejected for all of them because competition for those design jobs is really, really, really high in London. So one day I got an interview call from one of my top design agency picks. I was thrilled. I was like, oh my God, I got like an interview with this company, and there is no way that I'm going to miss out on this opportunity. I took the interview and they made an offer to my disbelief, and I was like over the moon about it. However, the offer wasn't to do design. It was actually to do sales and start off as a BDR and be a business development rep at the design firm. So I had two options. One was I keep looking for a design job, or two was I get my foot in the door at this design agency and take on the challenge of being a BDR. I honestly had no idea what a BDR does at this point, or even like how do you sell, because I'd never picked up the phone and called anyone other than my mom and dad at that point, or like my friends, but nope, I had never cold called. So I had zero appreciation for what it takes to do a sales role, and generally like didn't know what sales was all about. But I had high aspirations, was very ambitious, really wanted to work at this agency. So I took the job. And the company was fantastic. They took me through their new hire process, really onboarded me, got me familiar with all the things. So within like a week, I think I had researched so much and I rehearsed so much. I knew everything there was to know about that company, their services, their offerings, the packages they offered the customers, like what their design process looked like, what their unique differentiators was, if you asked me about the company history, I could recite it. Like I probably can't still, after so many years. I was ready to go. I was like, how hard can this be? I can pick up a phone and call anyone. And it was hard. It was really, really hard. So cleared new hire orientation, ready to go. And my first day, I'm sitting down at my desk after new hire orientation. I get my assignment. I have to call these big confectionery brands across the world and pitch them what this agency did. So I was like, okay, how hard can this be? I know confectionery brands. I shop all the time, I've eaten these chocolates. So this would be fun. So I open the CRM, look at one of the first contacts. He's the head of branding and design at this really large global confectionery manufacturer. So I dial his number. And to my surprise, he actually answers. And I'm like, yes, he answered the phone. So I start talking and I'm like, hi, I'm Sunniya Saleem. I'm going to tell you all the exciting things about this company that I work with. We have all these services that we're going to offer you. We're going to change the world for you. And I'm talking and talking and talking. And what I realize is that he's not saying anything. So I was like, okay, hello. And then I realized, okay, this guy had hung up on me probably like 5 minutes ago. I was shattered, really shattered. All of the effort that I had put into this, all of my excitement had just gone flat. So this, my first very phone call, my first cold call, which I had gone in with so much enthusiasm, had fallen flat. I didn't really know what to do. I didn't want to go and admit to everybody that I'd failed. I didn't want to pick up the phone again and try again. So I was really stuck and was sitting really sad at my desk when my boss walked by. He was like, "What's wrong?" And I didn't want to tell him. So he was like, "Hey, you know what? Let's go grab a cup of coffee." So we went out for coffee and he asked me, he's like, "What's the matter?" And I said, "Well, I made my first phone call and I told them all about us and all about our company and all about our agency. But the guy hung up on me." And my boss at the time just laughed at me and he said, "Okay, how much did you ask him about his company or the problem they were looking to solve?" And I was like, "What do you mean by the problem they were looking to solve? They were a huge confectionery manufacturer. They don't have problems that they're looking to solve." My boss was like, "That's where you're wrong. If you want the prospect to answer, you got to understand what problem they're looking to solve." So I went back, did my homework, researched the problems, found a problem that I thought we could latch on to, wrote up a couple of drafts of emails, shared them with my boss. He helped me perfect it. We put together a game plan. I emailed it to that guy again a few days later. Was really, really nervous, picked up the phone, called him, and to my surprise, he actually answered again. So and this time around, I changed my technique. Did not go in with, "Hey, here I am to tell you all about things we can do," but started with, our last call got disconnected. I'm really sorry. I've been doing some research and I found out that these are the problems that your company has. How are you going about tackling them? Paused, let him answer it. So what changed in this was that actually, instead of me talking, this was him talking, and I was building empathy with him by showing him that I actually care about the problems he's looking to solve and may have a solution to offer him. So instead of going in with a solution, I was guiding him towards a solution. And we chatted for like a good half an hour. And the end result of that was that I got a meeting with him. So lessons I learned was, number one, sales is hard. Number two, rejection is not personal. Number three, it's not about my company, but it's actually about the prospect. Number four, don't start with the solution, guide them to it. And number five, partnering with others and asking for help is really important. So fast forward to now, a couple of years after doing my first BDR job and learning a lot from that experience, I landed my marketing gig and have been a marketer ever since, but I still have tremendous amount of appreciation for what sales professionals do and strongly believe that sales and marketing need to work together. So as a marketer today, what I've done is put together what I call my 5-point formula of accelerating mid-funnel demand, which I'm very excited to share with all of you, and hoping that maybe you can learn something from my experiences here. So, all right, let's get started. Oops, sorry, it's taking a little bit of time. There we go. So 5 ways of accelerating mid-funnel demand. What do we mean by that? So first of all, for those of you who are not familiar with the marketing and sales funnel, it really starts with marketing generating awareness at the top of that funnel to sales actioning that demand at the bottom of the funnel and turning it into good solid wins for you and your company. But the most interesting part of that funnel is actually that middle of the funnel, this part of the funnel where you kind of go from that prospect being aware about your product and services to actually showing interest in your product and services, sometimes just opting out, other times actually going deeper with you. And then that's like the magic where sales and marketing come together to really win that prospect over. But how can you go about winning that prospect over, right? So this is where my 5-step formula comes in. First of all, make data your friend. If you're not comfortable looking at data yourself, make sure you're partnering with those smart marketing operations people in your team or the sales operations people. They understand the data, they can help you analyze it. And when you're analyzing the data, look at the patterns, right? Understand what is it that the prospect is doing. What type of content are they consuming? What type of tactics are they engaging with? How many phone calls have they answered? How many touch points did they actually go through before they're even willing to talk to your sales reps? Formulate a plan based on that. Give them resources that help them answer that problem. So think about it. In this example, like at QuickBase, when we're in that middle of the funnel, we're not talking about us, but we're really talking about how can they as a prospect, like in this example, create an adaptable supply chain. How our customer Mezzo saved time. In a webinar, we're teaching them something, like being in lockstep with them, helping them solve that problem. So analysis is very important, and driving insights from that analysis are super important. Secondly, message is extremely, extremely important. So personalize that message, because the prospect is savvy today, right? Like they've done their homework, they're aware of you, they're aware of your competition, they're aware of pretty much everything that's out there in the market. And more intimately, they're aware of the problem they're facing, and they need a way to solve that problem. So what you need to do as a marketer or as a sales professional is really personalize the message, craft it in their language. And this is actually a place where chatbots can really help you. So once you see a prospect heavily engaging with content on your site or with tactics across your site, place a chatbot there that's helping guide them through that journey and helping them take that next step. So ask them those questions that, you may ask them as a sales professional, like those discovery questions, put them in play, make them feel like they're in charge of this flow, not that you're pushing them to the flow. So generally, lightly guided questions will help with the flow and help them move forward. So personalization is super important. Nurture. So as marketers, whenever we hear the word nurture, we think, oh, it's email campaigns. Actually, no, nurture is a lot more than email campaigns. It's nurturing those relationships that you've built. At this point, the prospect has gone from awareness and is really like interested, right? Like they're engaging heavily across the board. You see that, you have that data, you've personalized your message. So how are you going to keep them interested? The way to keep them interested is to surround them with your key message across different channels. Meet the prospect where they are, rather than pushing them towards your offers. So in this example, as we saw that this person's looking to solve a supply chain problem, let's meet them on a site that caters to supply chain professionals. So we would put our QuickBase message out on SAP Insider. Then number 4, the most important step, alignment with your sales partner. Really tightly align with your SDR, not just on who are you going after, what the message you're putting out there, what tactics they've consumed, but also on how are you going to measure performance. Have a single scorecard. Here's an example of the scorecard that Chat Funnels developed for us, that where we look at like the performance of our chatbots, and as we're personalizing experience, how are things going and what our follow-up response time is. The quicker you follow up as an SDR, the better the performance is going to be. Make sure with SDRs and marketing, you have established clear service level agreements or SLAs, so that on the marketing side, you're providing quality leads. On the SDR side, you're providing that quality follow-up, and together you're moving that prospect forward on their journey. And then regularly monitor that performance. Ensure that you have two-way dialogue. Don't be afraid to raise to conflict and give each other feedback. Feedback's really, really, really important, because that's how we will make, as marketers, make our programs better. And then as SDRs, you can make your talk tracks better. So if marketers have that information of what the prospect is doing, and SDRs know the conversation, bringing those 2 data points together will help you really excel at this. So alignment is key. And then lastly, make sure you have a compelling offer when your prospect is talking to your sales development reps or your business development reps, right? Like, what is that next step that you want to get them to? Sometimes that next step could be a demo. Sometimes that next step is inviting them to an event. But create a compelling event that, like, kind of gives them that sense of urgency, wants them to, like, compels them to actually take part in it and be delighted by it. So in this example, we created a peer networking event where like-minded professionals from the construction industry would get together and talk about what they're seeing work. And then gently we were seeding in QuickBase messages. So it's important to create an environment where your prospect's going to get delighted and can learn through other folks that are like them. So there you have it. That's my 5-point formula of like how to accelerate mid-funnel demand. Somebody who's already interested, how do you get them to take that next step? You start by analyzing performance and insights, really taking those insights to personalize the message, nurturing the journey, aligning with your SDR and your sales partner, and then making sure you have a compelling offer to delight them throughout this journey. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for your time and for listening.